Everybody loves the F-14 Tomcat, and don't lie and say that you hate it because I know that you don't. Even the most hardcore, Russia-loving tanky thinks the F-14 is sexier than a pinup poster of Stalin. Fortunately, RC Castle sells the Freewing F-14 and it's been out for ages. Unfortunately though, in stock form it's super underpowered and it kinda sucks unless you're a Tomcat fanatic. The gear mount system is super weak. The jet runs on 10-year-old Outrunner motors and it's heavy as hell to boot, but it's a Tomcat and it can be flown like no other jet out there. You're probably thinking that the music in the background should be Kenny Loggins, but I'd rather play drum and bass because I won't get sued. It's been a long time since we've posted the Tomcat last, and the only reason I'm bringing it back is this.
You look cool as what?
I mean, you almost touched the ground with it.
I know, that was the point.
This is something that I should have realized was possible a long time ago. When the F-14's wings sweep back, it becomes a delta profile jet and can sustain high alpha easily, even on the underpowered stock motor setup. It becomes a flying triangle, or a death Dorito if you will. You just steer it around like any other delta jet in high alpha, with rudder and minimal amounts of aileron while you hold the elevator gently. This opens up the flight envelope significantly because the jet is almost utterly incapable of high alpha with the wings swept as you see here. Except for last September when I somehow managed to make it work. I kept getting more comfortable with it as I kept flying, until my comfort zone met the skill ceiling, and then I came to a sudden stop.
In pretty good shape. All I did was mess up the bottom pieces.
I went right back up again, because it's a strong jet. The ventral fins were trashed, the Phoenix missiles got scraped up a bit, and the nose sensor got scraped up too. So the grand total in damage was $10. To be frank, the ordnance looks pretty bad for how expensive it is, so I'll just repaint the Phoenix missiles to get rid of the scraping. The jet literally did not care about the belly landing and continued to fly. I learned nothing from this experience and just kept on flying high alpha because that's what we do here at TwoBros RC. It's just foam. Fly it and have fun. If it's supposed to look good, leave it home to be a museum piece. Otherwise, fly it until the wings break off. Consider this video a year in review for the Freewing Tomcat. We've owned it since December of 2022 and it's been upgraded significantly. As I mentioned before, the stock power system is basically trash. It's unacceptable to me to sell a super heavy jet with an even heavier metal outrunner system that uses super tiny motors spinning at 1680 kV. We replaced ours with Freewing 1920 kV inrunners that only added a very tiny amount of weight for a significant improvement in thrust. If you don't understand the difference here, that's okay. It's kind of obtuse and not easy to understand by design. The stock outrunner uses smaller stators in both diameter and length than the inrunner replacement, and it spins slower too. So it produces a lot less static thrust, which is really unfortunate for a jet that's supposedly a super Tomcat. Regardless of where you got this jet, I feel that Freewing should be sending the 1920 kV inrunner out to all Tomcat owners. Otherwise, I feel it's completely false advertisement. That the jet is continuing to be sold in such a shoddy state is nothing less than shameful. What else really bothers me about this jet is the need to spend yet more money on aftermarket upgrade kits if you're flying off of grass, or if you're not landing gently on pavement, because Freewing continues to sell the jet with woefully undersupported landing gear mounts. The foam compresses over time and will eventually fail if you don't land well every single time. or if you fly off of grass. For the price, this jet should be nearly flawless. Horizon sells the E-flite Viper 90mm for a very similar price, and it has best-in-class gear and a power system that isn't trash out of the box. I like to post clips of landing on Instagram and TikTok, and one thing people consistently mention is how nice the landings are with this jet, but that isn't exactly by choice, it's because I have to. Otherwise, the jet's gear mounts will get torn apart. You have to land it well to keep it from getting messed up, or you have to spend $100 on an aftermarket upgrade kit that a friend of mine sells who's local to Raleigh, North Carolina, which is yet another cost to consider for this jet. I know I sound a bit less than optimistic about the F-14, but don't let me turn you off to it. If you can stomach these issues and spend the $300 to get a good power system and learn to land it well, you'll be rewarded with a beautiful F-14. It's very agile and can be modified so that the batteries push back to the wing box, getting it away from having a super nose-heavy CG. You can even run full span flaps like I do and get a true-to-scale landing every single time. But it's a project. If you want the most out of the F-14, you're not going to just buy it and fly it as is. Run a 10-channel receiver and bypass the mixing board for everything but lights. Follow my setup guide linked in the description and you'll have a jet that flies incredibly well. Set it up for full span spoilers too, and it stops like it has thrust reverse. If you can get past the major issues that I've mentioned, you've got a super Tomcat that flies gracefully and can have the absolute wrung out of it. There aren't a whole lot of 14-pound jets out there that you can tear up quite like this one. So is it worth buying? Yeah, absolutely, but like I said, go into it knowing that it'll be a project. It won't be something that you just put together overnight. It might take you a few days, but it'll be worth the effort if you can be patient. Let's get into the final part of this review. The stock servos are less than ideal, especially the stabilator servos. I personally recommend high-tech HS85MG or D85MG servos. Please check the description for the link. The stock power system is trash. Get 100 amp ESCs and Freewing 1920 kV in-runners. You will thank me later. Unless you land really well every time, you're gonna experience gear mount failure at some point. It'll be ugly. Either you get good at landing or you get an upgrade kit so you can slam it into the grass. The TwoBros verdict, since we've never truly reviewed this jet, is 2 scores. It's a solid 6 out of 10 if you're flying it on the stock setup. It's an 8.5 out of 10 if you're flying it on my recommended setup. I'd make it a higher score if not for the additional cost required to get it to fly as good as it does. Freewing really dropped the ball to continue selling it as an underpowered pig. This is a Tomcat, not a chunk of flying bacon. We're in 2023, not 2014, and customers expect their jets to not require a ton of work to fly. If you want to sell more of these jets, Freewing, start listening to what I'm saying and spend the few cents on your end to ensure that you're not screwing over your customers. Thanks for watching, and be sure to slam your Tomcat in so Motion RC's warranty department will tell you that they don't warranty anything that's ever been flown.